Hello, here today for episode 3 of Backpacks and Stories. I'm here with Ping.
Hello everyone.
So, Ping, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Ping Ping and I'm from China. I was a backpacker in Australia in 2019 and I was staying in Australia for 3.5 years. But right now I'm in Netherlands, in Amsterdam, to study psychology here. Yeah, and I think I met Ben in Townsville in 2021, like 3 years.
2020.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah, but it seems like we already know each other for a really long time. Yeah.
Time has flown by very quickly. So, do you want to start off talking about your experience in the Netherlands as a student? You've been there for just about 2 years now. You arrived in August
Yeah.
2022, no?
Yeah. You remember that. Yeah. So if I could give anyone advice whoever want to study in the Netherlands as an international student, I will say don't come. Just don't come. So the study workload here, like Dutch people are really practical. So the study workload is really insane in the university. Yeah, it's just really hard time for me for the past 2 years. Especially when you compare the life in Australia and then you have the student life in the Netherlands, like too extreme for me.
Yeah, of course. But in Australia, life is very different. And it was so different during the pandemic, you know? We had so much
Yeah,
freedom and everything was a rather relaxed life. I know you worked hard. I worked hard sometimes. Um,
really.
of course. Um, and then you go to the Netherlands and you have a completely different life. You know, you're staying still in one place, you're studying, you have a goal, you have your 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 objectives have changed, you know, you're living a different life.
Yeah. But actually, I also feel like the different in two ways, because to be honest, when I since I moved here for the past 2 years, I'm not really happy. It's combined with the really heavy study load and also maybe the bad weather. The weather in the Netherlands is really unpredictable. Uh, and 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 then at one point I have to see therapist, so I always feel stressed, like I just don't feel good of my mental health. But that things not really didn't really happen in Australia. So the people, like my friend around me, they said, oh, the version of Ping Ping in Australia is much happier, and the version of Ping Ping here in the Netherlands seems like suffering a lot. And then I just I just reflect by myself, like what happened, why it changed. I think when I was in Australia, I was really open to everything. Like I thought, oh, I never been abroad for a long time, like more than 10 days or 15 days. And this is my first time to another country, and I can improve my English. I can try to make friends from all different countries. And I'm open to every different job, because in China, I got a bachelor in China and it's good university, and I have like the normal office job, like follow the track as everyone who are nerd and good student. But you never have other choice to live the life. For example, if I study in good university, normally you won't go to the cafe or to the restaurant to do a waitress job. And then before I come to the Australia, I told myself I just need 1 year. Like 1 year, I want to experience kind of things like a homeless, kind of homeless, just experience what I can experience. And then I actually have so far the best period of my life, I would say, in Australia. Yeah, I do feel grateful for the experience there, and also I feel grateful for this country.
Of course, it was an amazing experience and a beautiful country.
Yeah.
Can you just remind me what you were doing in China again? You were working in tourism, no?
No, kind of. So I actually studied advertisement. So I work in the advertisement company for a while, and then I work for Bentley and Lamborghini for the agency for them, like do the luxurious cars and like
Did you ever drive a Lamborghini?
no, but I'm sitting in that before Bentley, like Bentley. But
Bentley.
it's not my car, I don't give a, can I say this? I don't give a fuck, I don't really care about the cars and brand stuff. But I realized I remember one day I walk on the street and to the advertisement company. It was an international advertisement company. People are really nice and creative. And then I asked myself a question. I say, do I want to be the director in 10 years? Like he got a really, really good pay. He wear like nice clothes and everybody respect him. But do I want to be him? And then I realized my answer is no. And I kind of shocked because, I studied so hard to work in this point, to try to be someone like him. But I realized I actually don't want to be this kind of person. So I just decided, okay, it's my life, I need to do something for myself, just at least try. And I always tell myself, if I'm afraid of something, I need to do it. Yeah. So I kind of do that. And then I realized I really like traveling. So I did a hiking when I was in the university, and I also like solo travel. And then I started to work in a travel agency in China. It's called 稻草人旅行. I really like this small Chinese agency. They found by really cool people, like two backpackers. There's some mosquito. And they try to build connection between people, among peoples, and among the destination all around the world. And I was doing marketing for them, actually. I was the business developer. But meanwhile, I also host the conference. It's like I invite people who are backpackers or people who are scholars. They are really like arts or other traditional stuff. And I will invite them to give a speech for Chinese young people. And then you hear something related, like the country about Mexico and country about South America, like the area of South America and Israel and the USA, Europe. And I remember we also do once a conference of 16 museum in Paris.
Museums?
Oh, 13 museum in Paris. So there is
30 museums in Paris.
Yes. So there is a girl. She's a Chinese. She working she just wandering all the museum in Paris and Paris, and she just share her story. It's really opened my mind, and also I was just thinking about, okay, those people are really cool for me, and all of them have a story. And I realized I would like to be the person who have a story. I'm not really material person. I don't really care about money or good brand. But I would like to have a nice experience in my life. And then I got an opportunity to go to Australia, and I would say, okay, just do it, because at that time I was already 28 years old. It's quite old for backpackers, but I remember at that time I asked myself, why are you laughing?
Because I think many people would disagree with you. You know, we
Not
we both
young.
have lots of friends who are way over. I don't know about way older than 28, but in their
Yeah,
30s, 35, still backpacking.
but be honest, like most of the backpackers, if they are from Europe, they probably just graduate from high school and they
I
come here.
no, I don't have that experience. I didn't have that experience in Australia.
Because you always hang out with old people like me.
Yeah, exactly. All my friends were 30-year-olds.
Mm. But I work in the backpacker hostel most of the time because I do love people. I was really curious of people. So most of the backpacker I met is around like 18 to maybe 20, 23. This is the majority of the age, to be honest, because
Oh,
when you are over 30 years old, or for some country you are over 35 years old, you are just not allowed to be a backpacker. Like you're just not allowed to have this visa anymore.
yeah, that that's true now, but during COVID, everything was very different, and people arrived when they were maybe 29 or 30, and then they could stay extra time because of the visas.
Yeah, but when we discussed this, I didn't just focus on the COVID time. I think because when you talk about backpacker experience, most of the audience, they are maybe interested to become a backpacker in Australia or whatever. And this is a reality, kind of reality, I would say. Yeah.
I I think you have no, I think is you have some reason behind what you're saying. I think a lot of the English people who go generally tend to be, you know, just on the other side of university. The Germans
Mhm.
tend to be 18-year-olds. They have a
Younger.
gap year before they go to university. And then the Frenchies is either one or the other. But I think a lot of Latin people, for example, they tend to go in their mid to late 20s.
Mm.
You know, a lot of Chileans and Argentinians, they tend to arrive not so far away from 30.
Yeah.
So it depends. It depends.
Yeah.
But I think during COVID as well, a lot of the younger backpackers went back home to their countries because we didn't know what was going to happen. It was something so
Yeah.
new, something so crazy, and it was
Mhm.
very, you know, we didn't know how Australia was going to be.
No.
We were lucky. We were lucky to have stayed.
We
We
were,
had,
yeah. If we look back then, we are super lucky, because we were in the period like at the beginning, everyone feel really panic. We don't know what to do, and we start to. I think I remember I was in Cairns, so we have several months like quarantine. But that time is like if you're in the hostel, you don't need to wear the mask.
Mhm.
And there's empty everywhere, but you have a really nice weather, and people actually are more closer at that time because it's feel like we don't know what will happen and we are far away from home, so we are a family together. So even now I have a great friend from back then, I met in the hostel in Cairns. I don't know. Probably the owner of the cans will never. The owner of the backpacker hostel will never watch the video, but his name is Brian and Linda, and the backpackers hostel's name is, I think it's a global. I forget the name, like something international.
Great shout out to a hostel that you can't remember the name of.
Yeah, but I'm old, you know, I have bad memory. But anyway, Brian, Linda, and there are all the people, you know, before I come to Australia, you know, Chinese people, we are super close. So we kind of have the fear of Western people. Like my parents will tell, you know, they don't like you, you know, they will beat you, blah, blah, blah. But actually, yeah, it's like like discrimination, you know. But I do experience discrimination in Australia. Yeah, it was horrible. Oh, but maybe more in Europe. Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
another story.
you
Yeah.
feel like it's worse in Europe, the discrimination.
Yeah, for my personal experiences worse. You just like feel completely you are outsider, as my experience, like systematically they will let you know you are outsider because you are EU student, non-EU student, Dutch student. You just have totally different right.
But do you
I
feel like the
I
specific
feel
discrimination?
super. Yeah.
Do you feel like
What?
there's specific discrimination for you coming from China or just being an outsider to Dutch culture?
I think just be a, I don't know, be a outsider to Dutch culture maybe, but I don't blame to Dutch. You know, I don't think it's I I I don't know who to blame in this situation, to be honest. But I do feel I be treated differently.
Mm.
Like it's just like something 24 hours tell you you are different with everybody. Yeah. But
Yeah.
there are also like there are also people are nice. I try to be people pleaser now, but I do feel much difference. But in Australia, for example, people said, "Oh, Aussie, some of Aussie are really like racist, blah blah blah." But from my personal experience, most of all they I met are really, really nice people. They are really friendly. They come to help you, like Brian and Linda. They are the first backpacker hostel like I was in, and they try to help me a lot. I remember I lost a job from the restaurant, and Linda is one of the owner. She will like try to Google the job available to me. And when I need to find another job, and the another backpacker, like another manager, contact them, and Brian and Nina, they didn't tell me, but they speak a lot of good things about me, you know. And uh, I still have the purse. So when I left that hostel, uh, because that is really difficult time for them to, you know, they have a really nice business, and suddenly all tourists just gone, so they lost money every day. But when I left, because I have them to take care of the hostel, they give me some money in the pocket, and they write a really nice message to me. You know, I feel so grateful to meet them. Yeah. And also I remember once I went to dance. You know, like as a Chinese at that time, it's kind of difficult because I do remember when I work in the hostel, and then some people will come to me and say, "Where are you from?" I say, "Oh, I'm from China," and they will say, "Oh, Corona." You know, it's like joke, but it's also some for me it's also hurtful, you know. It's virus. We don't invite this virus and people dying, and I can also see the number in my country, people dying. I also feel afraid. I don't know what is going to happen to my country, and I also don't know what is going to happen to the people, you know. But
Yeah.
then people just like kind of like teasing you. And then I remember when I I took a Uber, and this driver from Australia, and he was really nice, and he told me, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from China." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry for what happened at the moment in your country, and if you ever experience some racist because of this in Australia, I'm sorry for that. You know, those people, you don't need to worry about them. It's their problem. You know, I don't know him, you know. I didn't even say anything about this, but he I just feel like really warm." Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it is definitely a minority, but they are a vocal minority, unfortunately, the people who are racist and discriminatory. I do not think that that represents Australians as a whole. Like you say, I think they are some of the most hospitable people and lovely people that I've
yeah, they're
you
really easygoing.
can stand
I
them.
feel like, yeah, I feel like I experienced a lot of culture shock between Australia and the Netherlands. I really left Netherlands before I come here. So the people who know me know that, like, I always say, "Oh, Netherlands is my favorite country in the world." Like, since I was little, I just support uh, Dutch national football team, because or this is the only thing we can say bad about my country, you know. Like, everyone hate Chinese football team in my country because they are so lame. Like, we Chinese people love soccer, but for some reason the national team doesn't work well at all. So normally in the World Cup, everybody celebrate, but everybody will pick some country to support. So there are some people, a lot of people support Argentina, a lot of people support France, some people from support Britain, yeah, and a lot of people support Germany, and you know,
Yeah.
and me, since I was little, I just support Netherlands. I love orange, you know. And I thought, oh, they are so friendly. They are, and their how they play the soccer are so smart. So when I was in Australia, whenever I met people from the Netherlands, I just say, "Okay, you're from Netherlands. I will try to give you the best room." But when I moved here, I found actually Dutch people are not that friendly as the people in Australia at all. Like,
So
it's totally different culture. Yeah.
yeah, so going back to that, I think there is a level of integration and integrating into a social group in like a friend group in the country that you're moving to isn't so easy. For example, yes, I think Australians are very, very welcoming and very friendly, but to
Mhm.
really build a network of Australians, if you move to Australia, that takes a long time. You know, I don't think that you naturally do that. It's the same here in Canada. I don't feel like meeting Canadians is so easy. You know, the people that
Yeah.
I'm more likely to meet are going to be immigrants, people doing something similar, or students. And I think it's a similar experience that you're having in the Netherlands. You know, the
Yeah.
Dutch people have their lives, they have their social circles, and the people that you're more likely to connect with are people doing something similar, studying, or Europeans living abroad, you know?
Yeah. When you speak of this, I think, yeah, it's true. Because when I think of Australia, I do make a lot of friends, and some of them, I think, I believe you probably also, including, are my lifelong friend. Like, we keep contact with each other, we support each other, we share a lot of things even after we left. But those people are, most of them are backpackers, not like a really local people. The few local people we met is like in the owner of a backpacker hostel, or the owner I worked, or some like colleague I worked together, but the relationship, the closeness of the relationship is different.
Mhm.
But in this case, it's actually the same when I moved to the Netherlands. So I'm currently studying in the Netherlands, but the majority of my close friends group are international students. And we were actually talk about this with another Dutch student. He said like, oh, you know what is really interesting, because I can observe, even though we are like international course, it's like English teaching course, everybody can speak English, but normally Dutch people come, most of Dutch people, like they are in their own friend circle, and international student in their own friend circle. And there are some of Dutch students are really welcome to get involved with international students, but they are actually minority. Yeah.
I think it could be to do with the language, and especially in the Netherlands, where the language is a very limited population. You know, you have obviously the Netherlands, and then the Flemish parts of Belgium that speak Dutch. They speak Flemish, but I know they're similar enough. And I think it could be to do with that, you know, this holding on to their language, because it is there is obviously so much English used in the Netherlands. Everyone speaks English, you know.
Yeah, and also
of identity.
Yeah, I think that's also make a lot of sense, because I really like doing volunteer job. So in Australia, I can do it easier because I can speak English, and that's enough. And here I also try to do volunteer job, and I got one, and I was invited because I'm a volunteer to join a party for all the volunteering to celebrate or whatever. And I went there, everybody speak Dutch, and I don't know anything. You just immediately feel like you are outsider, you know. And then like this month, I actually since this year I try to learn Dutch, because I want to involve more of this country. I'm living here, and yeah, I think it's make better sense if I can know their language. And once I start to learn this language, it's not just about the language. There are also a lot of culture things, and I actually start to feel reconnect with this country. So my feeling towards Netherlands is like, oh, I love it. It's the best country in the world. I would like to marry with a Dutch guy. And then when I move here, after maybe 2 days, I said, oh, this is the worst country I have ever been. I remember I was crying in the public transportation because it's just doesn't work and everybody speak Dutch. I got so stressed. I just crying all the time. You know, people just ignore you. They don't really care. And then I try to cry even more, like drama. And I remember that point, I was okay. It's really a bad choice. I regret my choice every day. But soon, I think after 1 year and 1.5 years, I realized, okay, look, this is a beautiful country. And it also makes sense why Dutch people would prefer people speak Dutch there, because it's their country, you know. You come to their country, you try to receive their good education system, and you are so arrogant, you don't even want to learn their language. If I'm the locals, probably I will also feel pissed off. You know, so I realized this part, and then I feel like more calm down to say, okay, let's really take a breath and see what's really happening here. And then you saw, actually, Dutch people they are really cute. They are really direct. They are not like playing around. If they don't like you, they just don't like you. And if they don't give a fuck, they don't give a fuck. But on the other hand, there are also a lot of Dutch people that really care. They care about the equalities, and they help the people with mental health difficulties and the homeless people. They have this kind of practical systems. Some of them are super weird, but it also makes sense. So they have their own way to live. And I think as a student, as an international student who want to maybe one day immigrate here, I think when I look back, why I feel so suffer is also because I didn't really embrace. It's called embrace this country. I was also, really, really narrow my side. That is totally different when I was in Australia. I was really open. I tried to just experience what I can experience. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But again, it was adapting to the new environment. We act how we know, and if you've been living this life, living this international life amongst other backpackers who are just traveling and working and don't necessarily have any specific goal, then you have to adapt to this new life, this new country, this new culture, new language, new people, and your studies. Obviously, everything is just changing overnight almost. When you arrive to the Netherlands, it was no longer you have all this freedom to go and do what you want, to go and travel and save money. Okay, well, I have to spend all my money on this education. You're thinking about your future. You're changing your lifestyle. And let's talk a bit about that. How do you feel about your future at the moment? Do you see yourself staying in the Netherlands long term? Would you consider another option? How do you feel today?
If you have me find a husband, maybe I can consider another option. But I think the original goal for me to come to Netherlands to study psychology never changed. Actually, Netherlands is a bonus for me because it's always my favorite country in my childhood. I have the fantasy of Dutch, but to come to Netherlands to study is more because I want to study psychology, and I want to know the knowledge of relate to mental health, and I also want to contribute. Also want to use this knowledge to contribute something to China, to my home country, to the people, to the young people who maybe suffer about mental health difficulty, and I want to do something related to psychoeducation. So apparently I'm a dreamer, but this dream never fade. It's still there. And so I almost finished my bachelor, and I will still do at least a master here. Yeah. So I say at least maybe 3 or 5 years I will still in the Netherlands.
Yeah. You have another 3 to 5 years of studying.
Yeah. Wow. Because I run out of my money, so if I can't find a husband, probably I can't. So I really need to work hard. So I will do the third year here so that I got some job experience and also try to earn some money and then continue to study. Because here it's like if you are an international student, I need to pay maybe 70,000 euro. But if you are like a European student, you pay 2,000 euro. So it's a lot of different.
Just to clarify, that was 17, not 70.
17, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big jump, that's for sure. I have the same problem if I want to study in Europe. I'm no longer a European citizen. So
thank you for your government.
No, let's get started. I'm saving the Brexit talk for when I have someone from the UK on the podcast. Then we'll have a good Brexit moan together. So okay, so you see yourself staying there a longer time. And how is your Dutch today? How is your Dutch going?
I just failed the course. Yeah, it's just too much for me. But I love Dutch. I love learning Dutch. They have a really beautiful sound like and ha. Yeah, I can say ik het Ping. Ik heet Ping. Oh my god. Ik ben Ping. My name is Ping. Ik uit China. Ik studeer psychology. And oh, my Dutch teacher will hate me. Ik studeer psychology by UvA, University of Amsterdam, something like that.
Something like that. I don't speak Dutch.
That's why I failed the exam.
It's okay. You have time. You have time to learn.
Yeah, but they have a lot of good words like here, look, it is look. Goedemorgen, goedenavond, doei. Yeah.
So you're wanting to pursue a career in psychology. Do you know exactly what you want to do?
So I also do some social media stuff, you know. I think you inspired this by me. So I write articles, and it's actually more related to my life, but sometimes I also write article related to mental health and also self-care. And also, you know, as a woman, an Asian woman, we have a lot of standards, like how you should look, and how when you took photos, you may do a lot of filters. Maybe for you guys the same, but I want to convey a message. Like when I write an article, I put my photo there. I never do any filters. I don't do makeup, and I just want to show if today I have the double chin, it's okay, it's fine. But even though I have those things, I can still have a really beautiful life. And even for a lot of Chinese people, they say, "Oh, Ping, your life seems like a really wonderful. You are so brave. You have a lot of freedom. You're just a brave person. You know, you choose your dream." But I was more like writing about what really happened to me. Oh yes, I'm brave in this part, but I also like really anxious. Like I also have a lot of imperfect part, but it's okay. I'm perfect in a imperfect way. Yeah.
Perfectly imperfect, you could say.
Yeah, but I think actually I learned this from Australia, from my experience from Australia. So yeah, in this case, I feel really grateful for this country, at least for the experience and the people I met. Yeah.
If you want to pursue a professional career in psychology in the Netherlands, do you need to be able to speak a good level of Dutch, or is it something that you can do in English?
If you follow the normal track, yes, you really need to be super fluent in this country. Like I think C1 level or C2 level.
C1 level Dutch.
Like native speakers level. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a long journey. So maybe find a Dutch husband. I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Well, they say that's the easiest way to learn a language. You know, you find
But
a partner.
actually, no. Yeah. My friend, they have a Dutch boyfriend. They only practice Chinese with.
Yeah. And have you? I don't remember exactly. Have you traveled to any other countries in Europe in the time that you've been there?
I personally didn't travel a lot because I prefer travel in a long time to really travel around like just as a backpacker to travel different towns and different cities to see how other people living there. So my plan is after the bachelor, I probably will use 3 or 4 months just like do a trip. And I also really fond of like working for accommodation in the local people's place, because I think it's a good way to know how local people living in their life. You know, you always see something different. Yeah.
But for right now, you've where have you been to in the Netherlands? Which places have you visited?
So we have I think like a lot of place. So I'm living in Amsterdam. I really like Utrecht. I don't know whether I pronounce it best, but Utrecht is the best city in the Netherlands so far, at least from my opinions. Yeah, it's smaller and really nice canals, and the people are nicer. I can't say that, but the people are really nice, and there are a lot of beautiful stores, like we call it winkles. And then I went to Leiden, and also like Rotterdam and South, much like a lot of place. Yeah.
Rotterdam is one of my favorite cities in Europe, as is Amsterdam. Amsterdam is an incredible city, but I know it's very touristy now. It's always full of tourists for obvious reasons, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
But I think this is also misunderstanding. Like a lot of people think, okay, like the weed, the drugs, and also the red light area is legal. Dutch people are really open, but I didn't. When I met some Dutch people, most of them are never do drugs. You know, it's more like it's because it's famous for tourists, so tourists come to do this. Yeah.
I think it's very 50-50 on how Dutch people feel about. In my personal experience, the Dutch travelers that I've met, half of them are open to weed and drugs and that kind of thing, but I think they have a better attitude because they learn about it from earlier on and they're exposed to it. So I think they have a more responsible approach, you know. Whereas for us, it's still very much. I mean, weed in the UK maybe it's not so taboo now, but it used to be, and definitely other drugs are more taboo, and you know the sex industry is very taboo. These are things that we haven't necessarily grown up talking about, and I think that it is. I love how progressive the Netherlands is, even if people don't want to consume those things. At least it's not, oh, we can't talk about this, you know, these are problems, we can't talk about this. For them, it's very much these are our personal choices. These are things that we should be able to decide how we live our lives, and we have the option to go and do it legally and safely, you know.
Yeah,
really important.
I think it's much safer here. Yeah, if you want to do it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So how was your where had you been before you went to Australia in terms of the countries that you visited outside of China?
So if you're, because the passport is quite different, if you hold a Chinese passport from mainland China, it's actually the only few country you can visit without, not few, but limited country you can visit without apply visa. And when you apply visa, for example, to Europe or to the USA, you have to give in a lot of documents, and you also need money for that. And I don't have them. So I only visit the country normally don't require visa for us. So I visit Russia, visit Vietnam, Thailand, Turkey, Singapore, Indonesia. Yeah, before I went to Australia, I think.
How was your experience in Russia?
I went there in winter because it was nice. Because I really afraid of cold, but I always feel like if I'm afraid of something, I would like to try it at least once. So I choose Russia, and it was in winter, and they have this beautiful lake, but it's become ice lake, so you can skating there. Yeah, I went there, and we also try some like a fish soup, the local fish soup. Yeah, it was not really nice. Yeah, and vodka. Yeah, people actually. Yeah, I remember, like, Russia people, when you when you take the plane, took the plan, because Russia people are like really, how to say, strong and a little bit aggressive for the image, but they're nice, and they do this, and the airplanes just go and then stop, and when we arrive, when we're landing, everybody just clap like, oh, okay, we are not dying, we're not crashed. Good job for this life. Yeah.
Interesting. And where did you visit exactly? You went to Moscow?
No, I didn't went to Moscow. I forget the name.
St. Petersburg.
Yeah. It's just like the biggest lake there. Yeah.
I don't know anything about Russian geography, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, I know there's some like taboo to talk about Russia, but Russia is also a really big country, and the people are so different. Yeah, it's not like, it's also the same for Chinese. Chinese are like, China really big country, and we have 56 like identical groups. Like I'm from Han, and there are also others. And we also have different culture from different province, and the people from north and people from south, east, and west. People are so different. For example, people will say, "Oh, you're Chinese, you must eat dogs." It's a fucking no. No one really eats dogs. There are some people like traditionally they have this culture to eat dogs, but not every single Chinese people will choose eat dogs. There are also people in China, they have this group to protect dogs,
Yeah.
And in Korean, they also have this culture. So for me, when people ask this question, I just feel like, oh my God, it's just like a stereotype. Yeah.
Of course, it's a stereotype, but coming from a vegetarian, I think all animal murder is wrong. So I don't see a dog being particularly worse than a cow.
Yeah, that is, but I think there are also other things to discuss. When we just see things, it's like black and white. Sometimes you don't live in the room to make a discussion, because it's just go really radical. But the life is much complicated than this. Like there are a lot of gray area. Like I like animals. I was there was a protest here, like the girls talk about like the animal rights, and I watched the video. It was terrible, like how they do the animal industries. And then they just told me, you do you love animal? I say yes. So you have to be vegan. So there is something, for me, there is something not goes wrong, but I just feel weird. Like I feel like I was, because you are entitled of this, you can't completely do that. But it's not that simple, because there are also other industries, there are also other people to need to live. Like yeah, we may have different opinions, and I think it's all right. But also think about this. Not everybody, as Western people, as you, as a British people, have a lot of privilege in your life. There are a lot of people in the world, they don't have this privilege. Even for me, I think I was quite privileged to have a chance to study here. Yeah.
I understand about the privilege. I acknowledge that I am privileged. I'm privileged to have the passport that I do, for example, and I've worked hard for the opportunities that I have, for sure. But I understand that I have privilege to some extent. But I do agree with them. And the first person who really made me start thinking about veganism and stopping animal consumption, I will clarify, I still think that I'm a hypocrite being a vegetarian. I know that I'm still consuming animal products, and I think this is wrong. and I know that I have a long way to go personally, but I do think that we can't say that we love and care for animals if you still eat them. I do fundamentally believe that. And the first person who made me think about this, my friend from Chile, she's been vegan now for going on 16, 17 years. And in Chile, that much time ago, it was very difficult to be, you know? And she made me think that we consider ourselves to be the most dominant and conscious species on this planet. Yeah. And the way that we choose to treat animals and the species that we consider to be less dominant and less conscious is to enslave them. We treat them as slaves at the end of the day. Fundamentally, whether we want to admit it or not.
Just treat animals as slaves. People also treat people as slaves.
I know, but I am explaining the animal trade and the animal industry as continued slave trade. I know real slavery, well, I know slavery with people still exists as well, but the animal trade 100% is slavery.
Yeah, I think for this topic we can have a lot of different opinions here, and there are a lot of room for discussion. Yeah, for me, my personal choice is like, okay, because before I really don't have any knowledge about this, and I also don't have any knowledge about like environmental protest, like there are climate change. It's really opened my mind when I was in Australia, and they were educated. Okay, the marine life, there are a lot of things died, and also there are a lot of species just disappeared in the past years. But I won't do something because everybody told me, oh, this is wrong, you just can't do that. If I don't feel it, I just don't do it. But I do feel like, at least for as a non-vegetarian people, I will try to like reduce the consumption from my side to eat meat or eat other product. Yeah, but I won't force myself, like I won't blame myself. So, okay, today you eat meat, you're a piece of shit. I won't do that. And I also won't like to accuse other people for this. I think it's a personal choice.
100% is a personal choice. I don't think that it's so important about condemning others. I think it is something that we have to realize by ourselves. We have to understand the other side. The first few vegans I met, it was very, I realized like, it's actually, they don't talk about it all the time. Most vegans won't tell you straight away, I'm vegan. It normally comes up in conversation more naturally. Maybe you're going somewhere to eat, or you're just talking, you make a comment about animals or something, and it comes up naturally. I think this was a big misconception that I had, because in the UK, still there aren't so many vegetarians and vegans. Most of them I met in Australia, the ones that I know. And I remember one conversation with a girl. I was like, well, don't try and convince me. And she said, I'm not going to try and convince you, because I can tell when people are willing to have that conversation and willing to start to think about it more. And it is something that people have to realize by themselves. I think I was a bit forceful when I went back to the UK with my family. I thought I was just trying to make them see the light, but in the end, maybe I was a bit too forceful. I think they did start to think more, and I think they make better choices now, but it's not fully my place to say all of those things. You know, those people have
Yeah.
to make those decisions themselves, find out the information for themselves.
Yeah, I think like learning psychology actually made me realize before I think, okay, you know, it's my dream. I'm doing something good. I want to help people. Like if this person, for example, depressed, I would like to give all I have, all the knowledge I have to help him or help her or help they. But then, during the psychology course, what we learn is like everyone is their own expert. You can never really ask anyone to do anything unless they want to do it.
Mm.
And it's like, for me, it's a big culture shock because we always try to give people advice. I'm really like a sharing person. I always try to give my advice to other people. But I realized after several years, I realized if people don't ask you, you give advice, it's also a bothering, and it's also you didn't respect their independency. Yeah, that's what I learned. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And there is that fact, the unsolicited advice. I think I thought the same as you. Sometimes we think that we know better for other people.
Yeah.
That's just a part of maturity and growing up to realize that we don't, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite natural to think that we know everything, and the older we grow, we realize that we know nothing, you know? And it's all about that experience, learning about how little we know. That is the game of life, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's all an adventure, all part of the experience.
Yeah.
So, you told me a bit about your next adventure in Europe that you would like to spend a few months traveling around. Are there any
Yeah.
other places in the world that you want to visit?
I want to visit all around the world.
Or
My dream is still like travel around the world. My biggest dream is like I work in backpacker hostel and in Australia, and I realize I really love to run in a backpacker hostel. Like I like putting people together and talk shit and share food together. It's just really lovely. Like I just feel like I was born for this. But I also have some like I feel like it's my mission. I want to contribute something good to my people, to Chinese people. I do want to use the knowledge to do something good. So to combine these dreams, I would like to open like running some space. Ideally, I can have this like a cultural interaction and meanwhile do something related to mental health. That's my biggest dream. But also to do this in some like a tropical place, better with better weather.
not the Netherlands?
Netherlands, yeah, maybe not. Maybe in summer, if someone want to invite me, there are, yeah, maybe not Netherlands. I love this country, but not.
Yeah, it would be nice to be in the tropics, spending
Yeah,
half the year in the southern hemisphere and the other half of the year in Europe.
yeah, that will be nice. Yeah, we just need several million for that. It's not too much.
Not too much.
Not too much.
I think it is kind of a common dream amongst backpackers to eventually find our own space and have our own land and start our own hostel or project. I think it would be nice. It would be cool. I don't know how I'll feel in, 20, 30 years time when I maybe have the resources to do that kind of thing. But it would be a nice idea to have my own hostel.
Mm. And I can work for you. You can
You
give me the visa.
I think you're going to be in a better position in 20, 30 years than me. You're going to have 10 passports.
From like a fake marriage. Yeah, because that's I was saying, okay, I want to work really like hard in the Netherlands to get the citizenship, like not the citizenship, the like permanent residency, and then I can do something else. And then everybody say, oh, maybe we just get a fake marriage. You don't need to work so hard.
So can you tell me, how did you feel in yourself from when you left China to when you visited after COVID, after you'd been in Australia for those years and in the Netherlands? How did you feel in yourself when you went back?
I feel like it's I remember because I didn't go straight back when China opened their border, because I chose to come to Netherlands first to study almost half year. So I kind of leave China for 4 years when I went back. I remember when the day I was so excited, like in the train station in the Netherlands, I just started crying. I just feel okay, finally I can went back home. And when I arrived, when I landed, I just tried to talk with everyone around me that speak Chinese apparently. So I said, okay, yeah, and how finally, like it's have been 4 years, you know. And then when you back home, you see your parents, my grandmother, my nephew. You feel familiar with them, but you also realize they change a lot. And there is like joyful and also a little bit guilty, because you know, like you don't really experience with each other's life for the past 4 years, and you also know you are different person than the one when you left. You see so much different things, you experience different things, and you meet a lot of nice people, you also meet a lot of shitty people, and you try to use English. Like for me, my case, like I use English as my main language, and I dream in English. When I got drunk, I speak English. It's crazy. You know, normally I just speak Chinese. Yeah, and then you just feel like it's kind of feel like I'm belonging in this place because I'm Chinese. I grew up here and I know this culture. I love this food. I still love spicy a lot, and like karaoke, and the people I met, like my high school friend, I went to visit them. Nothing really changed, but also seems everything changed. So you start to feel like it seems like I'm belonging here. It also seems like I start to belonging to everywhere in the world. You feel like, yeah, with this kind of experience, I'm okay to living everywhere in the world. So I'm a Chinese. I will always be pure Chinese, like 100%. But I'm also somehow Australian. I'm somehow Dutch. It's weird to say that. I hope people don't blah blah blah. But it's more like you. Whenever you live in a country for a long time, you get something from this country. Doesn't matter how you look, like your blood or whatever. You're culturally involved in this country, whether you like or not. Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I believe that every place we go to leaves something, it gives something to us. I don't think it leaves something with us. I think it gives something to us. You know, it adds to our personality, to our experiences. And it's like we're carrying those experiences with us wherever we go, you know? And
Yeah.
wouldn't we'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. Like you were talking about earlier, from all those experiences that led you to deciding to leave China eventually, you know, everything from that moment, you're moving forward. You're not looking back anymore. You know, you just have that motivation, that momentum to keep going. And from all that time that we spent in Australia, building ourselves, building those relationships, you know, the somewhat family connections that we felt, going through all of that together, having those experiences, passing all that time away from our family, that changed us as people. You know, it made it, we had to grow up. Doesn't matter how old you were, we had to grow up. I wasn't even 20 when I arrived in Australia. And
yeah, right now, how old are you?
You don't remember?
I only remember your birthday. Come on, it's already a lot of information.
24. So it's been, in 1 month, it will be 5 years since I first left the UK. A long time. And obviously I went back and spent 5 months there. But every experience since I've had then is always just moving forward, is building me as a person, you know, whether that be all that time spent 1 year living in South America, and I've also in Canada now, you know, 7 months in total from the time I spent last year to my time here now in Montreal. These are experiences that are changing us, you know?
That's amazing. I see you from a long hair boy to a no hair boy, right now to a short hair boy. No, you're not boy anymore. You grew up like a man. Yeah, I feel so proud of you, you know.
Thank you. Imagine
Yeah,
if you 2 years
I
before.
like you say something back, like you feel so proud of me too, but then
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you working hard. I know you always work hard. You are one of the hardest workers that I know. In Australia, when you were working as a manager in the hostel, you were studying maths every day, you know, working.
apology. It was a nice time.
You worked so hard, and you're still working hard. You know, every time during your term time, I'm texting you to see how you are, and you say, I'm good, I'm busy, I have to go back to studying, you know, and we catch up maybe once a month, once every 2 months, and you're going to do very well. You work so hard, you're going to do great, and I am proud of you for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Receive. Yeah. I think I also feel like if we still have time, I also feel how grateful I met most of the people. I do met some shitty people. If they are shitty, they know they're shitty. There's something like I do meet some people are really bad, like bad. But I also meet a lot of beautiful people, and I build up like a real connection, you know. Maybe some people like I may never see them again, because in China normally you don't use Instagram. We have different social media systems. I remember when I was in Australia, I don't have a Facebook. I never really use Facebook and Instagram, so I started an account. So I have maybe 1 or 2 friends, but when I left, I have like 200 friends or 300 friends. Like those people are from all around the world. Those people are all I met and talk and do feel like, okay, they're nice. Maybe we can connect. So those amount of people, even though a lot of them we don't really talk with each other anymore, but you do feel you share some memory together. Yeah, and those people also changed me as today who I am. And like for example, my bestie, I have a lot of bestie actually, like Jasmine, Jacob, Javier, Marie Eve, Barbara. Like I love them. Also a lot of Yanina. Yeah, yeah. It's right now it's a risk because I may forget to say some people's name, but I said oh la la. Yeah, but you know, I remember when I was feeling super hurt because my love relationship with, we are not going to talk about this, but I feel like really hurtful because of some people treat me not that good. I feel super low. And I remember my friend, like from this group, there are different friends. They always support me. They always be there. Also Julia, yeah. And they always let me know, like, you know, you are a good person. You're good enough. You're good enough just being exist. I never heard anything about this before in my life in China. Or yeah, and also like before, I also don't feel like I'm that good. You know, I don't realize I'm a nice person. I always like have a criticize myself a lot, and I always want to be good because I don't feel I'm good enough. You know, right now it's like if people told me, "Oh, you are not good enough," I will say, "Fuck off."
Yeah, no, 100%.
That time because I started coughing. Yeah, but that's something you learn because you do meet some nice people. You learn from them. For example, it's really funny. I suddenly forget her name. I met a girl. She's from Scotland. She's like a really nice girl, like Scottish girl, a strong girl. I learned something from her, and I always use it. So whenever I sneeze, you know, like oh, the first time when I do this, everybody around me they will say, "Oh, bless you," and then I say, "Oh, it's so polite." So I also say, "Bless you." And once I sitting near to her, and he like coughing, and then she said, "Oh," she said, "Bless myself." And after that, whenever I coughing, I start to say, "Bless myself."
Okay.
Because I realized I don't need other people bless me. I can just bless myself, you know.
You can be bless yourself.
It's funny, but you know, you get the wisdom.
Okay, so we're gonna come into the last 5-10 minutes now. So I'm gonna ask you 3 things.
Yeah.
So you told me
What
before.
are they?
I'll tell you the 3 things now. The first one is I would like you to pass on a message in Mandarin to the people, something that means some words that are special to you, and if you can explain what they mean.
Yeah, I want to. There are two.
There are 2. Okay.
Two messages. Yeah, in Mandarin. So how to say Mandarin? 当你想要拥抱世界的时候，这个世界也会拥抱你。这是我第一句想说的话。然后第二句想给中文世界朋友传达的是，要对自己诚实。That's all.
And what does that mean?
So I have 2 messages to the world. The first is when you start to embrace, like hug the world will start to hug you. Yeah, because I remember when I was really, really anxious when the first time I to go abroad, like in Australia for long term. I don't know how people will treat me. I also heard a lot of bad story about discrimination, blah blah blah. And yeah, and I also have a lot of stereotype towards people from other country. But I was proud of myself because at that time I give it a try. I try to be open-minded. I try to just experience whatever I experienced. I remember, you know, the people in China, we don't like people with tattoo. It's like a big stigma. And there is a guy, he from Germany. He has all over him tattoo, you know. He looks scary for me at the beginning. I almost forget his name. I really forget his name, but he is one of the nicest guy I've ever met. When I can't find a job, he told me, "Hey, Ping Ping, don't worry. You know there is a lucky ice cream, and I will buy your ice cream for free just for your good luck." And I always remember the ice cream and I eat it, and after that I do got the job. So after that I remember that is my lucky ice cream shop. But that's what I mean, you know, is people can look scary, but they can also be nice people. Yeah.
Never
and
judge a book by its cover, we say in English.
yeah, and also for example, in Australia, when you think about Australia, you're thinking about the white people and sunshine. I never know there's Aboriginal culture there. I never really know there's something related to this. And then when you go into this country, you saw those people, they were suffering, and you try to learn their history. You know, oh, actually there's some history is much longer than other history, and they are so beautiful, and also there are also some injustice over there. There's maybe still exist. You know, you be knowledge by that. It's not okay. The foreigner country's moon is better than the one like my country. No, there always problem, but there are also always beautiful stuff happening.
100%. And what was the second message?
Second message is what I learned. Basically, is tell me to always be authentic to myself, always to be honest to myself, be honest to my true feeling, be honest to what I want. And when you are really honest, you can stand up for yourself. That's what I learned. Yeah.
Very good. Very nice words.
Smart. No, sorry.
You're good. So the next two things, which you have suggested to me, I copied from you. No, I think you gave me some inspiration, some subconscious inspiration.
This is definitely a question I ask, but it's okay. You're my brother. My stuff is your stuff. Your stuff is my stuff. My money is my money. Your money is my money.
So the last guest on the podcast, Nigel, he asked you, what was your first impression of me, or what was your best memory of me? You can choose one of them.
I don't have a best memory of you.
Okay.
Because all the memory of you is really good, actually. So I can't say, oh, it's best. Yeah, maybe I got a bad memory of you because I heard you were super drunk then. I was really worried about you. But other than that, it's all good. I really believe my God when I need to connection with people. I remember the first time I met you, I was the receptionist in the hostel. I think, yeah, I was doing the receptionist or maybe like night manager there. And you come to ask a question, and I thought, oh, such a beautiful guy. No, it's not like that. It's more like, oh, this boy looks really friendly and cute, and you are open to ask a question, you know. And I just feel like, yeah, he seems like a really nice person. I would like to talk with him and know him. And I feel like I can build a friendship with you. Yeah. Because you have long hair, I remember. I like people have long hair.
Yeah.
especially boys. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly our first interaction, but I think one of maybe the best memory I have was you had gone away for a few days, and then you were working in the mines, I think, and then my grandma had died, and I felt really lonely at the hostel because I wasn't really close with so many people, and I didn't really want to talk about it with anyone. And then when you came and you were there and you gave me a big hug because you were just there for me in that moment. So, that was something that I remember and I cherish.
Yeah,
and
but yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, you say, sorry.
No, I was just gonna ask you the last thing what question are you going to ask the next person?
But I would like to say you also do the same, whenever, yeah. I remember when you come back to Amsterdam to see me, I was feel so happy. Yeah, because it was really tough period for me. And I tried to be cool, but apparently I was really anxious at that time. And it was really nice to see an old friend. Yeah, I'm okay. Oh my God, I'm crying here. But I'm just kind of crazy people who are like really emotional. Yeah.
You're
I
okay.
remember the time, like, when you have an old friend coming to another continent, another country, and you meet each other again, and the friendship is super real. You just feel like, okay, even you feel super lonely in this place, but this place suddenly feel like a home because you were here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So finally, what would you like to ask the next guest?
Nice the guest. Can I ask in Chinese or you can only understand
I
English?
can't speak Chinese. I can't speak Mandarin, so probably English.
Yeah,
Or
so actually this question is I steal from my interview from another guest. But I like this question. Like, how what what are you experience at the moment as yourself?
okay.
Yeah.
What you're experiencing right now within yourself. I
Yeah.
will be sure to ask the next person.
Yeah, it's a philosophy question.
Maybe they need more time than 10 minutes to answer, but
Write a book. Give them my email.
well, Ping, thank you so much for your time today, and it was lovely to talk to you as always.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else has enjoyed this conversation. And is there anything you would like to finish off with? Would you like me to put a link to your page, your social media?
I don't have a social media. I did.
You,
I haven't started a podcast or like anything like that, but I will soon.
but your psychology stuff, you said that you're writing the
But it's
post.
in Chinese. It's in Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Start with English soon.
yeah, the Chinese one called 阿平想聊, and we have a podcast called 岳阳电话 Cross Line.
How many episodes of your podcast have you done?
I don't know, like 40 something.
Wow, so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
Do you do
Yeah.
them by yourself, or you have a friend that you do
I,
them?
I have a co-host. Yeah. I didn't really do the podcast of my interview in Australia because at that time it's just a private project, more for me, and also I want to do this for my nephew to encourage him. But I'm also considering to redo it to like what you did, to ask questions. So if anyone interested, feel free to contact me. Yeah, and if anyone have some good boy to introduce me, feel free to contact me.
For a husband with a European passport. So
Yeah, so that I can reduce the tuition fee.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ping, and thank you, everyone. This has been episode 3 of Backpacks and Stories.
Yeah, good luck.